When I moved back, I'd lived in this third world country for 11 years, and I'm from Tallahassee, but I knew when I was coming back I was going to have these cultural re-immersion issues. So instead of moving to Lynn County, I moved to Wakulla County, which is kind of a third world county, if you're familiar with it. It's pronounced Wakulla. You would probably call it Wakula. Don't drive through there and call it Wakulla County. And there's a little town there called Sop Choppy, which is where you know where Sop Choppy is? Wow. The Worm Grunting Festival. Yeah. The Worm Grunting Festival, maybe I should bring everybody up to speed on the... Wakulla County has the highest the density of earthworms per square meter of any place in the entire United States. And this is the truth. And so it's the Apalachicola National Forest, and there's a process of getting these worms out of the ground that they call grunting worms. And what it is you get an axe, and you get they call a staub, you would call it a stake, and a leaf spring from an automobile, and I don't know exactly which one, but it has to be one in particular. And you go out into the woods, and you usually take your family out there with you because you need somebody to pick up the worms as they come out of the ground. And you drive this staub into the ground, and then you get on top of it with your leaf spring, and you go over back and forth over it like that. It makes a sound. I've actually been out in the woods turkey hunting and heard like a cacophony of it. It's like this. It makes that sound, and it's like, and what it does, it vibrates the ground and it aggravates the worms, and they come up out of the ground, and you get your kids to go pick them up. You put them in like a coffee can, and then you can take them into town, and you can trade them for beer and bread and things like that. In 1968, they passed some guy, I don't know who it was, but figured out that, and it's a lot of work doing that, is that you could take a McCullough chainsaw after you put the staub in the ground, and you could crank up the chainsaw, and you could just sit it on top of the staub and race the motor, and it would do the same thing. And so everybody started doing it. They started depleting the worms, so they had the Worm Grunting Act that no longer are you allowed to use a motor saw for worm grunting. That's the truth. My grandfather, James Franklin Cochran, was one of the founders of Sop Choppy, and his name is on the 1911 charter. I went back there and found that charter, and there's a provision in the charter for Sop Choppy that prohibits the American flag from being flown downtown. Now, if you're from the South, you probably understand what's going on there. What it was is that every time they looked at that flag, and certainly my grandfather was one of those, it reminded them of their vanity and their hubris, and the fact that they had started a barroom fight and gotten their asses handed to them. And so they didn't really want to look at that flag. And so, and it's still on the charter, though after World War II, after so many of those boys went overseas and got shot up and came back, they began to soften up. And they started having a little 4th of July thing. And by the time I came around, it had turned into a full-fledged 4th of July parade and party. And they would have these floats and stuff come through it. And by the time I got to it, I think a lot of the homage to our principles of our nation had kind of been lost, and it turned into this kind of hypocritical thing where this businesses and politicians and stuff. And there was a group of people who saw this. There was one guy named Cooter Mills who had the Cooter Mills well digging and septic tank company. He decided that he was going to put his through there, and he actually had like one of those plastic septic tanks, and he put it on a lowboy and put kids in there, and he wrapped it with bunting, and they came through downtown Sop Choppy throwing candy out of the septic tank into the crowd. At any rate, I'm going on too long. At any rate, there was a group of people who saw this and really realized it was hypocrisy. This was before the whole resist thing came along. But there was a group of people who saw that, and they wanted to make a statement. And we no longer have the 4th of July parade. It was what the Wakulla County called an incident. Well, the gay and lesbian sons and daughters of the Southern Confederacy, well, they built a float and they entered it in our 4th of July parade. There were ladies wearing leather and men wearing lace, and others wearing pink leotards. And with a swish and a swagger they come strutting down the street, waving the stars and bars. Yeah, you gay and lesbian, sons and daughters, the Southern Confederacy. Well, they built a float and entered it in, 4th of July parade. There was a fella with a flute and a tutu, playing Dixie with a skinny drummer boy. And this butchy gal, she was the majorette, directing with an obscene toy. Yeah, you gay and lesbian, sons and daughters, the Southern Confederacy. Well, they built a float and entered it in, the 4th of July parade. Jackson and another a Truman Capote, and there was Billie Jean King and Elton John, but the biggest was of Robert E. Lee. Yeah, you gay and lesbian, sons and daughters, the Southern Confederacy. Well, they built a float and entered it in, the 4th of July parade. Flag on Independence Day, or just a poke in the ribs of that long lost cause for these queers to carry on this way. Yeah, you gay and lesbian, sons and daughters, the Southern Confederacy. Well, they built a float and entered it in, the 4th of July parade. Yeah, they built a float and entered it in, the 4th of July parade. Thank you so much.